This morning, people around the world are reacting to images and these shocking videos coming out of Afghanistan. It's truly heartbreaking. People hanging on to moving airplanes, so desperate to get out of the country after U.S. troops withdrew and Taliban forces regained control. The Biden administration is defending the troop withdrawal. To bring in some perspective on what's happening in Afghanistan, we've asked Dr. Nader Hashemi to join us. He's the director of the Center for Middle East Studies at the University of Denver. Good morning, Dr. Hashemi. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for the invitation.
So first, in your opinion, what went wrong with this withdrawal?
Well, in a nutshell, everything. I think the fundamental problem was that the Biden administration, the Pentagon, U.S. military planners completely underestimated the strength and the capabilities of the Afghan army. The predictions were that they could last on their own after American troops left for at least 2 to 3 years. They collapsed overnight, thus producing this crisis.
You know, the U.S. had spent nearly 20 years there. Billions were spent to equip and train the Afghan military. How did this Taliban takeover happen so fast?
Well, I mean, that's the big question. I think, we owe it to the American troops who went to Afghanistan and served there. We owe it to those American troops that died. We owe it to the people of Afghanistan to really dig deeply, to think very honestly, and to look back over the last 20 years and figure out, the big question: what went wrong? Why, after 20 years in Afghanistan, over $1 trillion spent, all of this investment, all of this time, as we approach the 20th anniversary of 9/11, the Taliban are back in power. I mean, what's really needed at this moment is something on the scale of another 9/11 commission of inquiry, a bipartisan one, to figure out what went wrong and what lessons we can learn from it. So I don't have the answers. It's pretty clear that the predictions that the Afghan government and that the Afghan security forces had some credibility to stand on their own, to fight back against the Taliban, those predictions were grossly exaggerated. And also the effectiveness in fighting force that the Taliban were able to organize, defied all predictions. They've proven to be much more of a formidable force than anyone thought. So I think that broadly explains how we got here.
I mean, we look at these shocking images and video coming out of Afghanistan, and you can't help but think about the Afghan people who are left behind there. What are their biggest concerns right now for those living in that region?
Well, the biggest concerns obviously pertain to women and girls who will most likely be denied their basic rights, the right to education, the right to participate in civil society, the right to hold a job. So I think that's the number one concern. Then, of course, there's going to be the justice system that the Taliban is notorious for. They have a very extreme, outdated and backward interpretation of Islamic law that they plan to implement. So I think these are going to be some of the challenges that the people of Afghanistan are going to face. And of course, Afghanistan is a failed state, right? There's developmental challenges that all developing societies have in terms of just providing the basic necessities of life. Mm-hmm. It's a tall order. And I'm very skeptical that the Taliban is up to the task.
Yeah, sorry, Dr. Hashemi, I have one more question. We're limited on time here, but we did hear a spokesperson for the Taliban insist that Afghan women will keep their rights and should go back to work. Should we believe that?
Well, put me in the skeptical camp. In those parts of Afghanistan that have already been conquered by the Taliban over the last 2 to 3 years, there's substantial evidence, human rights reports that suggest that women have not been able to go back to work and go to school. It really is dependent on the preferences of the local Taliban commander. So I don't trust what the Taliban is saying. And I think we all need to be thinking and doing whatever we can at this moment to try and support and sustain the people of Afghanistan, particularly the women and children who are going to be on the front line of Taliban rule as they consolidate power.
Well, Dr. Hashemi, appreciate you coming on the show and giving your perspective. Thank you.